foul on Reese. Reese gets up right away.
Now, when I saw this live, I was literally screaming no. I was like, not again. I was speechless. They did call a flagrant 1 on Caitlin Clark. She essentially said it was either Angel gets a wide open layup or we send her to the free throw line. It was a basketball.
Angel Reese has reportedly been suspended after her outrageous verbal outburst toward Caitlin Clark during their very first matchup. Honestly, it makes you wonder, was she still carrying resentment from last season, or was she simply tired of being overlooked?
Jersey, she was saying stuff to Caitlin and kind of walking down the sideline. I thought that was too excessive.
She kept screaming the F word at Clark again and again right there on the court. Like, she completely lost awareness of where she was. No one was even injured on the play. The refs called it a flagrant 1, but honestly, I don't think it deserved that. To me, it looked more like a tough but normal foul. And before anyone tries to blame Clark for grabbing her arm, relax. That's just standard basketball defense, not some dirty move. And if we're being real, ever since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she's been treated less like an athlete and more like a target for everyone to take shots at.
Her in the play. They called it a flagrant 1. However, I don't believe it was a flagrant 1. I think it was a hard, common foul.
Apparently, in this league, handing out assists and knocking down deep logo threes is treated like some kind of offense, something that has to be paid for with hard fouls, bruises, elbows, and non-stop physical defense.
It's very different than some of the plays that we saw last season where the ball wasn't even in play and players were coming over and checking other.
From Kennedy Carter's dirty hit last season to Diamond DeShields practically giving a masterclass in unsportsmanlike behavior, Clark has turned into a target for fouls that somehow seem to not count, according to the officials. And still, she doesn't complain. She just keeps going and keeps playing.
Crazy. But if you guys remember the Kennedy Carter foul from last season where she came up and bodied Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark didn't even have the ball wasn't even inbounded yet. Like, that's not a basketball.
But how many times does this have to happen before we finally call it what it really is? Targeted harassment disguised as competition. The league has never seen anything like this. Not just because of her shooting range, but because of how much punishment she keeps absorbing. If mental toughness were an official stat, she'd be leading that category too. Still, even all her discipline couldn't prevent what unfolded in Game 1. Just like that, in the very first game of the season, Caitlin Clark ends up getting called for the foul. Not for being the one who got hit, but simply for trying to defend.
It was a routine basketball play.
Angel Reese was driving in for a wide-open layup.
You guys didn't see, right before that play, Angel Reese had some contact with Natasha Howard. Caitlin Clark saw that contact. She turns to the refs and she's like gesturing to them. And this is all happening very, very quick.
Clark saw what was coming and did exactly what any player is taught to do in that situation. She committed a foul to prevent the easy 2 points. That's a take foul, completely legal, totally normal, and one of the oldest moves in basketball.
Turns to the ref, she's gesturing to them because she believed that Angel Reese fouled Natasha Howard. Now from that, Angel Reese gets the ball. Caitlin Clark realizes she is about to go up for what seems like a wide open layup. Caitlin Clark runs over and fouls her hard and Angel Reese falls to the ground.
But the referees, maybe trying to make a dramatic statement, chose to label this routine play as a flagrant 1. Their reasoning? They pointed to a wind-up, impact, and follow-through, as if Clark suddenly turned into a WWE fighter in the middle of the game. Meanwhile, Reese hit the floor like she'd been launched off a balcony.
Happy that Caitlin Clark just walked the other way. She really didn't want anything to do with it. It was just a basketball play. Now, what I didn't like that Angel Reese did is even after that play, she kind of kept going and it seemed like more and more people needed to hold her back. Like she was untucking her jersey. She was saying stuff to Caitlin and kind of walking down the sideline. I thought that was too excessive.
But the real problem didn't come from the foul itself. It came from what happened after. Angel Reese popped up instantly like someone had set her jersey on fire, then rushed toward Clark, yelling and cursing, to the point where her teammates had to physically hold her back. And that wasn't just competitive passion.
A basketball play. And Caitlin also even said after the game, she was asked about it once again, and she said, guys, let's not make this bigger than it needs to be. And I am 1,000% with her on.
While Reese exploded with anger, Clark didn't even react. She stayed composed, turned around, and walked away. No theatrics, no arguing, just pure professionalism. That moment should have said everything. One player completely lost control, while the other refused to let the chaos get to her. And yet, somehow, the calm one ended up with the technical foul. Welcome to WNBA logic.
Make this a highlight that runs all of the time. Please do not use this in promos. We're gonna hear it. I know next week everyone's gonna be talking.
Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston, who seemingly just made the offense of standing between two players, also got hit with a technical foul.
They asked about this play and then they asked Aaliyah, why did you get the technical also? And she's like, wait, I got a tech?
You got the flagrant. Aaliyah, you got a technical. What kind of happened there?
If you got the tech? I know.
Wait, what?
I got the tech?
I didn't know that.
Oh, first of all.
Yet, the players shouting obscenities and creating the chaos? Just a verbal technical, no ejection, no real consequence. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Would Clark still be on the court, or already in the locker room apologizing to the league? This wasn't merely poor officiating. It was a clear example of how narratives can twist reality. When Caitlin Clark is the one committing a foul, suddenly the rule book gets rewritten.
I don't think that this is the hill to die on when saying like, should it have been a common foul or should it have been a flagrant? Let's leave.
Suddenly, a routine take foul turns into a full-blown scandal. Suddenly, staying calm and composed looks suspicious. And because it's Angel Reese on the receiving end, the internet springs into action, not to examine what actually happened, but to validate the story they wanted to believe. And what they wanted: outrage.
She said it was a basketball play, the refs called it, and let's move on. And kudos to her for that, for kind of stopping this narrative. Both of them kind of speaking out and being like, hey, let's not make this anything bigger than it needs to be.
And if you ever doubted that social media thinks it can officiate a game, just look at what unfolded after the foul. The instant Caitlin Clark made contact with Angel Reese, the Twitter jury was in session. Week 1 of the WNBA, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky, and we get a play like this. If you were on my live, you saw it firsthand. Suddenly, every fan with a profile picture of their favorite player and a username ending in _hoops_ for life became an instant referee. The takes were fiery and reckless. Most didn't even know what a take foul is. Take fouls typically happen at half court, yet basic basketball IQ seemed to vanish as the need to dunk on Caitlin outweighed the urge to Google the rules. But let's be honest, it's far easier to hate a player than to actually learn the game she dominates.
And 1 in the WNBA, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky, and we get a play like that. If you guys were on my live, you saw.
Let's set the record straight once and for all. Take fouls can occur anywhere on the court. The NBA rulebook even differentiates transition take fouls from regular ones. The main idea is straightforward. If you commit a foul to stop a scoring chance, that's a take foul.
Has a wide open layup and you have a foul to give, it is in your best interest to foul that shooter so that they don't get an easy 2.
Facts didn't matter. Social media decided the story, twisting a routine foul into a scandal. Reese screamed, Clark stayed calm, yet Clark got penalized. Meanwhile, Indiana dominated Chicago 93-58, with Clark recording a historic triple-double and Aaliyah Boston dominating the paint, yet all anyone talked about was the drama. The WNBA's double standards were glaring. Strategic fouls became flagrant, tantrums went unchecked. Angel Reese escalated, but faced no real consequences. If Clark had done the same, punishment would have been instant. Suspending Reese isn't about drama. It's about enforcing rules, protecting rising stars, and proving composure still matters. Otherwise, chaos gets rewarded and credibility suffers.